Hi everyone. In this post, we talk about building your story world or the setting for your story, for your novel. Every novel takes place in its own universe. As the writer, you are the creator of that universe. Whether it's a small, familiar town or a distant planet, the world you build is critical to the story you tell. A compelling story world brings depth and realism to your novel and offers readers an immersive experience and feeling. But world building is more than just imagination. It requires thoughtful planning and consistency to create a setting that supports the story while remaining believable. Why your story world matters. The world you create serves as the foundation for your novel. If your novel is set in your hometown and during the present day, your work is cut out for you. Most readers already have a sense of what the real world looks like, so your primary task is to choose details that make your setting unique. However, genres like science fiction, fantasy, and historical fiction demand more effort. These stories require you to imagine settings that may be completely uh, unfamiliar for your readers, and therefore need a thorough research and creative development. That said, even in more familiar settings, looking at the world through a different lens can add fresh perspectives and layers to the story. World building isn't just about far off planets or magical realms. It's about understanding the setting of your story and using it to enhance the reader's experience. What key components of a story world that matters? Every story world consists of three key components. Without these, it's impossible to create a compelling and believable story. The first aspect is the natural world. The natural world establishes the physical environment in which your story takes place. It includes geography, climate, flora, fauna, and other environmental factors that shape the setting. It includes the geography that, for example, the city that your story takes place, the physical aspects of the environment, whether it's urban sprawl or a remote countryside. These are essential to giving your story a sense of place to the reader. In most stories, the laws of physics and nature remain the same, but science fiction or fantasy genres might alter these rules completely. For example, a story set in a planet with two suns would likely have different weather patterns than the Earth, regardless of the genre and the world you are building. You need to understand the environment you are writing about and how it affects the lives of your characters. You should know about your world more than anyone else, so you prevent inconsistencies and errors. The second aspect is the cultural groups. Cultures shapes behavior, beliefs, and intercases. Your characters belong to a specific cultural or ethnic groups, uh, and this influence how they see the world and interact with other cultures, other groups. Whether you are writing about a small homogeneous town on a big city with multiple cultural groups or a far galaxy with several species, these dynamics provide richness to the storyboard and setting of your novel. In fantasy and science fiction, cultural groups can take on entirely new forms, such as alien species or magical creatures, magical societies. These cultures, these cultures should be just as well defined and have intricate relationships as real world ones, with distinct values, customs, and languages that shape your characters and their relationships. The third aspect of your storyboard is a backdrop for conflict. Conflict is the driving force behind every good story, and your storyboard needs a conflict that defines the plot of your story. Conflict, a backdrop for conflict plays a big role in creating a story. The political, social, religious, or interpersonal tensions within your world will fuel the conflict in your novel. This backdrop provides the friction necessary for plot development, creating stakes for your characters to overcome. For example, a story set in a dystopian future will have different sources of conflict than one set in a contemporary a small town. After building your story, you need to show it to your readers. How to show your storyboard to the reader. As a novelist, one of your challenges is balancing world building with storytelling. You don't have unlimited space to describe every detail of your storyboard, especially when you know that most novels are under 100,000 words. This means that every word you write must serve a purpose. You need most of your words for telling a story, and all about descriptions, dialogues, action, and all about it. This. How to show your storyboards alongside other elements of a story. Make description do double duty. Your descriptions should not only paint a picture of your storyboard, but also serve the plot or reveal something about your character. For instance, instead of simply describing the marketplace your character walks through, you could mention how the bustling energy contrasts with your character's internal turmoil, or how the marketplace diversity reflects the broader cultural conflicts at play. Second, show only what's necessary. You might have a rich, fully developed storyboard, but that doesn't mean every detail belongs on page. Only reveal what's necessary to the story and relevant to the characters. It's tempting to showcase all the intricacies of the world you have built and worked on them so hard. But restraint keeps readers engaged and allows them to focus on the story at hand. Use dialogue and action. You can also reveal elements of your storyboard through dialogue and action. Instead of lengthy exposition, let your characters interact with the world. They can reveal societal norms, cultural tensions, or the state of the environment through their behavior and conversations. World building needs lots of research and creativity. If your story takes place in the real world or a setting you are familiar with, you may not need to do much research. However, if you are writing in an unfamiliar or imaginary setting, thorough research and creative development are essential. Readers are quick to pick up on inconsistencies, so knowing the details of your world will help you maintain credibility. For fantasy and science fiction, consider everything from the planet's geography to the political system, from the rules of magic to the economic structure. In historical fiction, for example, research the periods, customs, fashion, and technology to make your work your word feel authentic. Every detail contributes to making your setting feel alive and real. In conclusion, building a storyboard is a complex but rewarding task. Whether your novel is set in the past, the future, or a completely made up universe, a strong storyboard provides a framework for your plot and deepens your reader's engagement with your story. By understanding the natural world, cultural groups, and the backdrop for conflict, and by carefully revealing these elements through action, dialogue, and description, you can create a world that enhances your novel and pulls readers into your novel.